Hello, friends. We are back with our session on child abuse and parenting. It's a phenomenal topic which we are speaking on, opening up layers and layers of spaces where we didn't even knew that children are getting abused. And this is amazing that even though we are in a phenomenal space and enjoying our life in a free world with so much lightness in our world, but the moment we talk about children and abuse, these two words, the moment they come together, it brings so much sadness, so much contraction in our universe, because we all know that it exists. We all know that child abuse is existing in the same spaces that we exist in. It coexists with us. How many of you know that 1 out of 5 boys and 1 out of 3 girls is sexually abused before they turn 18? It's a very big number. How many of you know that this is true? And where does this arise from? And it's not only in which sector or strata of society, it exists across all stratas of society. The upper middle class, the upper class, the lower middle class, the lower class, and there's no need to even define a class here. Children are children. Everywhere it is existing around us. So let us today look at where it is beginning and what is the roots of it. Because so before I go there, let me introduce you to me. I'm Mehek Hemnani, and you are on my page, Your Guide to You. And we are today speaking about a topic which is very close to my heart: child abuse. This There are so many cases of child abuse that come up while I'm doing children counseling, and most of the situations there are major or minor cases of abuse. And I, as a counselor, have realized that most of the abuse, even in relationships at the age of 25, 30, 35, has its roots in childhood. All of the difficulties we face in our life has its roots in the childhood, and a lot of it comes from abuse, child abuse. So today let's look at this: sexual abuse. And as I was telling you a few minutes ago, 1 out of 3 girls and 1 out of 5 boys go through sexual abuse before they turn 18, and it's a huge number. And maybe so many of you who might be watching this might have gone through the same. And it does have an effect later on also in life, even when we feel that we have overcome it and we have forgotten about it. But it has, deep down in the subconscious, it remains hidden, and all the emotions and feelings that a human has are based on those subconscious imprints that we have, which reflect in our current relationships. So let us today look at the root of this. The roots of child abuse, the roots of sexual abuse, truly begin at neglect. Neglect on the space of parents, neglecting their children. And how does that happen? When a child is so preoccupied in his maybe routine, business, creating money, creating a life, making their houses, and providing for what he thinks roti kapda makan, basic needs, the house, shelter, clothing, and food. When parents are so engrossed, involved in doing this, and as the weekend comes, just covering up for all the needs and then maybe de-stressing themselves, Where does the parent get time to connect with the child? The child often seeks company, seeks um, joy from other people. Who are these other people? Oftentimes they are support staff, oftentimes they are neighbors, oftentimes they are people in the surroundings, even at spaces of education, teachers, co educators, and so on. The child seeks solace and company from them and talks. The child talks. Every child talks. Even a 1 year old, 6 month old talks. They talk in their expressions. They say, emote their feelings in different ways. As a parent, it's our job to look at what are those things that the child is emoting, not only from his words, but below the words, what is there. Many times, children do tantrums, and parents, all the time and efforts are going in disciplining them. Stop disciplining. Guys, just stop disciplining. Instead, ask what is happening here. What is happening when your child is behaving a little different, or is off mode, or is not listening to you? Stop. Give up the need of that, time that I have to have dinner now, I have to reach here and all. Stop for a moment and ask, Bacha, what is happening here? What's happening with you? What are you feeling? As a small child, we teach children expressions. When you're happy, smile. When you're sad, make a sad face. When when you are in glee, give us that expression. Or when you are very sad, or when you're excited, do this. So we teach them expressions. But they don't have an expression for abuse. They don't know when they are getting abused. So their expressions are mixed. They do not know what is right and what is wrong. What is the right touch? What is the wrong touch? And oftentimes when parents are neglecting their children, guys, you can share your comments, questions down here, and I will be happy to respond to them as much as possible while I'm on the call, and later on in the comments below the FB live, I'll be happy to respond to them. So keep pouring in your ideas, suggestions, questions, all of that. So let me come back to what is happening when the child shows different response mechanisms, confused response mechanisms, moody response mechanisms. It's time for the parent to stop. And instead of going on correcting, and this is something that we went to in our earlier FB lives too, that making the child wrong for doing certain things, that not eating properly, not dressing properly, not being on time, etc., etc. But when all of this is happening, instead ask the child, what is happening? What are you feeling? Is everything okay with you? Who are you speaking to? Who are your best friends? Who do you like to talk to? And so many other questions. Talk to your child. Many times what happens is when child finds solace, when child finds company in someone else, and that someone else could be anyone. It could be the most trustworthy person you think. It could be the person who you believe would never ever do anything horrendous. That could be the person who you are making your child susceptible to. And let me tell you, how does this happen? You might have heard or may not have heard of a word known as gaslighting. Gaslighting is a term used for slow, extremely slow manipulation of a person, which makes that person vulnerable, where children or even adults can be susceptible to it, where they actually fall prey to it. It's like the frog in the fry pan story, But the frog is swimming, enjoying his life in the tiny little pool or tub that he has, and slowly the water temperature is increased. The water temperature has increased so slightly, so slowly, on such a minute scale that the frog still keeps enjoying and doesn't realize what happens. He thinks that something good is happening, I'm feeling nice. And eventually, the water temperature increases to such a level that the frog has no energy left to jump out of that pool and eventually dies there. It's a horrendous thing to happen. Even as you imagine, it must be the most horrendous things if it's ever even happened with you. So let's look at child abuse and how do these culprits, these sexual culprits, it's so heavy to even talk about it. How do they function? They function from being a friend, a close person who is giving solace to the child, who the child thinks is their well wisher. And by child, I don't mean a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old or an 18-year-old. It could be anyone. Where the person, the individual, is given small carrots, very tiny little carrots. You know what are carrots? Motivators, appreciation, tiny bits of it. That, oh yeah, you're looking nice, you're a great person, you're doing this well, I like your dressing style, I like the way you do this. Appreciation. Wow. And how much do we think appreciation is the way that it should be? But when there are people who are abusers, they use appreciation in a very different way. They use appreciation to gain control, to gaslight. And when that child or that individual has become addicted to that appreciation, the child goes again and again, goes back to that person. Imagine a household with both parents working and kids in the house, and both parents constantly in the rush of routine, and they are constantly being in the space of providing for their child and educating the child, reaching him to school, and etc. etc. No time to even have a kind word, appreciate their child, or nurture their child, and often leave the child with maybe neighbors, with teachers, co-educators, classes. Imagine the number of activity classes that are happening all over, and so many tutors that you are, who may or may not even be certified, who we have no idea about what they are doing, and children are dropped with them, sometimes in groups, sometimes alone, thinking that my child is getting good education, good skills. What is the child being exposed to? The child is being exposed to a person who may not have clear guidelines for what is good parenting, because parenting is not happening only from the parents, parenting is happening from society at large. And that sort of a person who the child has been told to trust by their parents, and the parents have also told the child that don't say anything against the teacher is the guru, the teacher is the one who you have to respect and you have to follow. And when this teacher takes the child, teacher or anyone else, I shouldn't be saying only teacher, anyone person who is taking the child in his confidence and then choosing to abuse the child, what happens to the psyche of the child? The child is completely broken down because he has no idea who to trust. He thinks this is the right way to be. if that person is doing this to me and my parent has entrusted me to him, this is the right way to be. And I have to follow his or her instructions. Hello, Hareshji, how are you? Thanks for being on the call with us today. And what happens after that is the effect of this subconscious imprinting is there not only now, in the present, but in all relationships. All his life, that child will be going through or reliving his experience, his learnings from that subconscious imprinting. So now how do we break this? How do we get out of this? That is the important question. It's simple. It's not time consuming. One, it's very simple. The first thing is keep your eyes and your ears open. Keep your eyes and your ears open. Listen to every word that the child says. Look at every action of the child. And then open your mouth also and ask questions. Please don't ask questions about how did you fare in school? How many marks you got? It's not important. The child may have got numerous marks, but if his emotional setup in the head is not clear, is not ease, is the subconscious imprinting is bad, he will not be able to succeed in life. What really leads to success is a clear subconscious imprint. A space where there is absolute ease. That is what governs your whole life, your businesses, your relationships, your parenting, all of it. So ask, keep your eyes and ears open and ask questions to your child. Ask him, how was your day? Who did you spend time with? What did you do with that person? What activities did you go for? What communication you had with that person? What did the teacher tell you? What did your friends tell you? Be a friend to your child, not a parent. Be a friend. And at the same time, I say do not give control to your child. You are the parent. Know it. Don't show it. Know that you are the parent and you are the one who has to guide the child. And at the same time, learn from the child. It's not a one-way streak. There is energy flowing both ways. Be willing to learn from your child and at the same time, be willing to share your experience. As a parent, as a guardian, it's our job to give them a harmonious growing environment where the child can grow up at ease in a very harmonious way, where all his needs are met: physical, spiritual, emotional, all of them. So ask the child questions. Who did you talk to today? Where did you go? Who did you meet? What did that person say? Did you have fun? What sort of fun did you have? What sort of people do you like? And so many more. And you will stay in touch with the child. This is what is called quality time. Quality time, parents have defined as quality time means taking your child to an activity class, playing a board game with a child, or eating dinner together with a child. Yes, that is quality time. But you forgot one thing: speaking over dinner, engaging with your child over dinner, engaging with your child over a board game, not just getting engaged in the board game, not just going inside the board game and teaching the child how to play a good board game, teaching skills. There are teachers to do that. Who is going to give them the emotional balance? It's you. So while you're doing all this, the time that you spend with your child will become quality time when you will be engaging with what is happening in your child's life. Who is he mimicking? Who is he talking to? Who is he meeting? What are the values that he is receiving from these people? How is he engaging? So be in these questions, and every day, and I wouldn't say spend time like 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. Oh, that's not true. Spend as much time as possible and don't keep separate time for it. You don't need to keep separate time. You have 24 hours. You have to do everything together. You can't keep separate time for it. You can do it while you're doing whatever. You're driving your child to school, maybe, and you do it. You're walking your child to the bus stop, you can do it then. You're putting your child to bed, you can do it at that time. You're eating dinner, you can do it at that time. Or you're cooking something and the child is around and you can do it at that time. Or you're even taking up studies or looking at the calendar of your child and you can ask them at that time, how is this teacher? What is her mannerism? How is she talking? Or if there is a tuition or an activity class, engage while you're picking and dropping. Or if you are not at home, engage on the phone. When you're talking to the child on the phone, talk to him or her at that time. But talk to your child. Things other than his academic and extracurricular growth. Things about who he is, who she is, what she feels, what he feels, and teach them compassion, gratitude. I'll leave you all with this thought today. And since there weren't many on the live, please leave your questions in the comment sections and I will be happy to receive them and respond to them. Thank you so much, Mehek from Your Guide to You. You're on my FB page. Do like the page and do share this FB Live. I do take personal counseling sessions. If you ever need them, I'm just a call away. Thank you.